If you have an indoor cat, you probably think you'd know if something was seriously wrong with them, wouldn't you? You'd notice if they were sick. You'd see if they were unhappy. You pay attention. And yes, you care deeply. But here's the uncomfortable truth that most veterinarians won't tell you directly. Depression in cats doesn't look like depression in humans. It doesn't announce itself. It hides behind behaviors that seem so normal, so cat-like, that thousands of owners are living with depressed cats right now and interpreting the symptoms as personality. Your cat isn't going to mope dramatically or refuse to eat entirely. The signs are subtle, slow, and easily mistaken for other things. Aging, laziness, independence, just being a cat. And by the time most owners realize something's actually wrong, their cat has been suffering silently for months, sometimes years. Let me be clear. This isn't about blaming indoor cat owners. Keeping cats indoors is absolutely the right choice for their safety. But indoor life creates specific psychological risks that outdoor access accidentally mitigated. And if you don't actively compensate for what's missing, your cat's mental health can deteriorate right in front of you. Let's start with the sign that almost everyone sees but nobody recognizes. How many hours does your cat sleep per day? If you said, most of the day, you're probably right. Cats naturally sleep 12 to 16 hours daily. So when your cat is sleeping 18 or 20 hours, it's easy to think, well, they're a cat. That's what they do. But here's what researchers have found. There's a crucial difference between healthy rest and depressive withdrawal. Healthy cat sleep is flexible. They wake easily when something interesting happens. They have periods of play and exploration between rest cycles. They choose different sleeping spots. Depressed cats sleep differently. They're not resting. They're checking out. They sleep in the same spot for hours without moving. They don't wake when you come home. They barely react to sounds that used to interest them. A study published in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior on feline mental health found that excessive, unchanging sleep patterns are one of the earliest indicators of feline depression. And here's the part that breaks my heart. Many owners actually appreciate this. Oh, my cat is so low maintenance. They just sleep all day. No problems at all. But what looks like an easy, independent cat might actually be a cat who's given up on engagement entirely. The difference shows in the eyes. A resting cat has soft, peaceful eyes that track movement and respond to stimuli. A depressed cat has distant, unfocused eyes. They're physically present but mentally absent. Veterinary behaviorists call this learned inactivity, and it's one of the most common yet overlooked signs of feline depression. Take a close look at your cat's coat right now. Is it as sleek and clean as it used to be? Or has it gotten a little duller, maybe slightly matted in places? Or on the flip side, have you noticed bald patches where they're grooming obsessively? Grooming is one of the most reliable mental health indicators in cats. In healthy cats, grooming is balanced, thorough, and social. They groom themselves, they groom companions, they groom after eating or when they wake up. It's part of their normal behavioral repertoire. But depression disrupts this completely. Some depressed cats stop grooming almost entirely. It's not that they can't physically do it. They've lost the motivation. Grooming requires a certain baseline of mental energy and self-care drive. When depression sets in, that drive disappears. Your cat's coat becomes greasy, matted, or develops dandruff. They might even start to smell slightly different. The opposite extreme is just as concerning. Some cats respond to depression and anxiety with overgrooming or barbering, licking themselves obsessively until they create bald patches, usually on the belly, legs, or flanks. This is a self-soothing behavior that's gone pathological. Research on feline compulsive disorders published in the Journal of Feline Medicine and Surgery found that psychogenic alopecia, stress-induced hair loss from overgrooming, is often linked to chronic environmental stress and lack of enrichment. The act of grooming releases endorphins, so depressed or anxious cats essentially self-medicate by grooming excessively. And here's what most owners do: they assume it's allergies or fleas. They treat the physical symptom but never address the psychological cause. The grooming doesn't improve because the depression remains untreated. The fix starts with observation. Is the grooming change recent? Did it coincide with any life changes, a move, a new pet, a change in your schedule? Because the grooming change isn't the problem. It's the signal that something deeper is wrong. Does your cat still eat every day? Then they must be fine, right? Not necessarily. Because depression in cats doesn't always mean appetite loss. Sometimes it means changes in eating behavior that are easy to miss if you're just checking whether the bowl gets emptied. Here's what to watch for. Some depressed cats eat very slowly, without enthusiasm, like they're going through the motions. Others eat quickly and compulsively, using food as their only source of stimulation. Some start eating alone, avoiding times when you're in the kitchen. Others will only eat if you're standing right there. A study on feline feeding behavior and emotional states found that changes in eating patterns, even when total intake remains normal, can indicate underlying anxiety or depression. The researchers noted that healthy cats have relatively consistent eating rhythms, while cats under psychological distress show more erratic patterns. And here's the connection most owners miss: weight gain in indoor cats isn't always about overfeeding. Sometimes it's about using food as the only rewarding experience in an otherwise empty day. Your cat is bored, understimulated, and mildly depressed. Food is the one thing that still feels good. So they fixate on it. Or the opposite happens: your cat starts eating less, but so gradually you don't notice until they've lost noticeable weight. You think, oh, they're just getting older and eating less. But actually, they've lost interest in one of the few pleasures they had left. If you're starting to recognize patterns you've been dismissing as just cat behavior, you're exactly who Whisker Wisdom is here to help. Subscribe so you understand the psychology behind what your cat is showing you, not just the surface behaviors. And stay with me, because the next signs are the ones that mimic personality so perfectly. Most owners never suspect depression at all. Has your cat stopped greeting you at the door? Do they no longer follow you from room to room? Have they stopped seeking out your lap or sleeping on your bed? And have you been telling yourself, they're just maturing? Cats are independent. That's normal. Here's the hard truth: withdrawal from social interaction isn't maturity. It's often depression. Cats are not as solitary as popular culture suggests. Research on feline social behavior has completely overturned the "cats are loners" myth. While they're not pack animals like dogs, cats form strong social bonds with their human caregivers. A study published in Current Biology found that the majority of cats show secure attachment to their owners, similar to the way dogs and even human children attach to caregivers. So when a previously social cat starts pulling away, something has changed. And often, that something is their mental state. Depression in cats frequently manifests as social withdrawal, not because they don't like you anymore, but because they've lost the emotional energy to engage. Veterinary behaviorists describe this as decreased social seeking behavior. Your cat still lives with you, still eats, still exists in the space, but the active connection has faded. They don't initiate contact. They don't respond enthusiastically when you do. They've become passive participants in their own life. And here's what makes this so insidious: it happens gradually. One day your cat doesn't come running when you get home. You think, oh, they were sleeping. The next week they stop jumping on the bed at night. They're getting older. A month later they're spending all their time in another room. They just like their independence. But when you add it all up, you've watched your cat disconnect from you over the course of weeks or months, and you interpreted each step as normal instead of seeing the pattern for what it is: progressive withdrawal. When was the last time your cat actually played? Not swatted lazily at a toy, but really engaged. Crouched, pounced, chased, caught? If you can't remember, or if the answer is months ago, that's not aging. That's anhedonia, the loss of interest in previously pleasurable activities. And it's one of the core symptoms of depression in every species that experiences it. Cats have a biological drive to hunt and play. It's neurologically rewarding. In healthy cats, that drive remains strong throughout most of their life. Yes, senior cats play less vigorously, but they still engage when properly motivated. When a cat completely stops playing, especially a young or middle-aged cat, something is neurologically wrong. Research on feline enrichment and welfare shows that lack of play behavior is strongly correlated with poor mental health and low environmental stimulation. Here's the pattern I see constantly. Owner tries to play with cat. Cat doesn't respond. Owner assumes cat isn't interested and stops trying. Cat becomes even less stimulated. Depression deepens. The cycle reinforces itself. But here's what most owners don't know. Depressed cats often need different types of play to rekindle that drive. The feather wand that used to work might not anymore, but a robotic toy with unpredictable movement might. Or play in a different location. Or at a different time of day. Or shorter, more frequent sessions instead of one long one. The absence of play isn't a personality trait. It's a symptom that something essential is missing from your cat's life. This one is eerie when you start to notice it. Your cat sits facing a wall, or looking at nothing in particular, for minutes or even hours at a time. They're not sleeping. They're not alert and watching something. They're just staring. In veterinary behavior medicine, this is sometimes called spacing out or dissociative behavior, and it's a red flag for depression. Your cat's mind is understimulated to the point that they're essentially zoning out. There's not enough happening in their environment to engage their brain, so their consciousness just drifts. A study on stereotypic behaviors in captive animals found that prolonged staring and reduced responsiveness to environmental stimuli are indicators of chronic psychological distress. While that study focused on zoo animals, the parallel to under-enriched indoor cats is striking and supported by feline-specific research. This isn't meditation. This isn't peaceful rest. This is a mind that's checked out because there's nothing to check into. And the longer it goes on, the harder it becomes to re-engage your cat with their environment. Has your cat started reacting badly to minor changes? A new brand of litter. Furniture moves slightly. Your schedule shifting by an hour. A visitor staying for a few days. And their reaction seems disproportionate. Hiding for days, refusing to eat, urinating outside the box. Here's what's happening. Depression reduces psychological resilience. Your cat's baseline mental state is already fragile, operating with minimal emotional reserves. So things that a healthy, enriched cat would adjust to within hours become major crises for a depressed cat. Research on feline stress responses shows that cats in chronically understimulating environments develop heightened sensitivity to change. Their world is already so small and predictable that any disruption feels threatening because they lack the mental flexibility that comes from regular, positive stimulation. Think of it like this. A human with good mental health can handle a stressful day at work because they have other sources of joy and meaning to balance it. A depressed human experiencing the same stressor might completely fall apart because they're already operating at their limit. Cats work the same way. When your cat overreacts to small changes, they're not being dramatic. They're showing you that their psychological resources are depleted. Here's the truth that changes everything. Feline depression caused by environmental factors is highly treatable, but it requires actually changing the environment, not just medicating the symptoms. Yes, in severe cases, anti-anxiety medication prescribed by your vet can help. But the foundation is environmental enrichment, structured daily play, 10 to 15 minutes minimum, ideally twice a day. Use wand toys that simulate prey. End sessions with a catch, so your cat completes the hunting sequence. Environmental complexity, vertical spaces, window perches, puzzle feeders, rotating toys. Your cat needs a physically and mentally engaging space. Predictable routine, feeding, play, and interaction at consistent times. Predictability reduces anxiety and provides structure. Sensory enrichment, bird feeders outside windows, cat TV videos, new textures and scents to explore. Your presence, quality time where you're actually engaged, not just in the same room. A study on treating feline depression through environmental modification found that 80% of cats showed significant behavioral improvement within 3 to 4 weeks when owners implemented comprehensive enrichment protocols. No medication. Just meeting the psychological needs that weren't being met. Your cat isn't broken. They're not permanently changed. They're understimulated and depressed because their environment isn't meeting their species-specific needs. And the beautiful part? You have complete power to change that. It won't happen overnight. A cat who's been depressed for months needs time to learn that life can be engaging again. But with consistency, you'll see small changes. A little more alertness. A brief play session. A greeting at the door. And those small changes compound into a cat who's mentally healthy, engaged, and actually enjoying life instead of just enduring it. At Whisker Wisdom, we believe every cat deserves a life worth living, not just a life that's safe. If this opened your eyes to what your cat might be experiencing, share it with someone whose cat is just sleeping a lot, or just independent. Depression in cats is invisible until you know what to look for. Now you do, and that knowledge is the first step to giving your cat their life back.